excited that they're doing this. They're digging deep into their vaults and pulling out stuff. And not just pulling out stuff, but telling the stories behind it. I think it's great. So keep at it. We've been begging for this kind of stuff for a long time. I mean, I never would have thought they would have actually put out I Want Some Action and talked about the song.
Unbelievable.
You know? I mean, because you will never see David Lee Roth do this, and, you know, certainly not holding my breath on Alex or Wolf doing anything like this.
No, never. But this is the kind of stuff that fans eat up. It could brighten your day. Like, it's like a little something that pops up. It's not every single day, but they're doing it like, I don't know, every 5 days or a couple times a week or once a week. And it's cool that they'll answer fan questions and they'll give you insight and stuff like that. But it just does go to show you what Mike's saying. They don't have any control over any of this stuff. So that's the thing, is that they don't have those boxes at 5150 that Mike is talking about. If they did have it, maybe they could do something with it. But, like, what's to become of any of that stuff? It's just floating out there. That's the thing. So, anyway, on to more Sammy. Boy, he came out swinging in an interview that he did with this Brazilian internet show, Inside with Paulo Baron. And holy shit, this guy got all the goods. Sammy went nuts on Roth here. He took some jabs at him. So he said, when they asked him about the differences between him and Roth, he says, he's a real character. He's a showman. He's all show. I enjoy him. But you talk about cringing. I can't imagine how he feels when he looks at some of those old videos, the way he was dancing and moving and the way he was singing live sometimes. I don't know how he feels about that, but I don't think he cares. The difference between him and I, sincerely, is care. What is important to me is enlightening and elevating people spiritually and making them happy and making them have big dreams, making them want to be better themselves. My goal with everything I do is to bring that out in people and change their life if I can. I don't think Roth cares about that. That's the difference between our presence. He's very much into himself, very much into being a showman. He doesn't really care. I don't know what he cares about. I really don't. I don't know him. I have no idea who that guy is. I don't think anybody does, but he entertains me and I enjoy watching him do stupid shit. Woo, Jesus Christ. So then he continued, when they asked him, what do they think when they see Roth on TV? He says, he's not what he's saying he is. He's pretending. He's total bullshit. Everything he does is thought up, and it's an image. It's nothing to do with who he is. He is not exposing who and what he is. And then he also said he was the worst guy to be around. He wasn't even around. He hides out. You never see him. He puts on this whole big front and then comes out. I'm here. David Lee Roth is here. And then he goes and hides again. Very strange. And then Sammy really got nuts. And he goes, I don't think he's happy. He's never been married. He's never had a relationship. Never had children. It's like, man, how do you live like that? I don't know. I'm a family man. I love women. I love women and children. He goes, he hasn't aged well. His voice, I don't know. It's hard. So, holy shit. Did Sammy pummel Roth? But here's the thing, Sam. Well, Sammy is right. Dave is different. He is a showman. And he doesn't care about enlightening and elevating people spiritually. He is there to entertain. And he does it to the max. So it's really not fair to say whether he's happy or not. He doesn't know that. It's also not everybody has to be married with kids. That's not fair either. So he's a reclusive guy. Whatever. That's Dave. He's an enigma, which is what makes him interesting. What do you think about this, Dave?
What was Sam promoting? He must have been promoting something to start talking about.
Roll the dice and take a pick. Who the fuck knows? No, he just shoved his cock right up Roth's ass. And then on top of this, in the same fucking interview, okay, with the Paulo Baron, okay, he's apologizing for what he wrote about Eddie Van Halen in his book. So he says here, because of the untimely and tragic death of Eddie Van Halen, I apologize from the bottom of my heart for exposing his dark side to where I don't think anyone wants to hear that now, and unfortunately, it's in the book. It's true. It's all true. It's not like I have to say, oh, I'm lying. No, no, no. If I wrote the book today, I would only put the good of Eddie Van Halen because he was such a brilliant, genius guitar player and such a great friend and a great partner until everything went wrong, like everything else. Anybody that's been divorced or broke up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you know how it goes. Happy endings aren't always the case in a relationship, and Eddie and I had a happy ending. Thank God. But before that, it wasn't a happy ending for the band. But thank God we got it back together. By the way, that's not public, so he says that there's no proof of any of that. So then he also said, no one knew a lot of that about Eddie, but they'd see him on stage and they would think, why is he acting like that? And I would say, well, you should have seen what happened behind the stage. Holy fuck. If we had known he was sick then, I would have understood and I would have been a little more, hey, Ed, come on, try to reel him in. But he was impossible. He was on a track of just wild. It was tough. And then Hagar added, he was the sweetest guy in the world when I met him. Eddie Van Halen walked into my dressing room in the show in Anaheim Stadium with Boston and Black Sabbath. He was one of the sweetest people, most humble human beings I've ever met in my life. How can this guy play so badass and be so humble, I thought. It's impossible. He must have had a fire inside him that he's not showing. And when that fire came out, it was quite the fire. It was a freaking volcano. So here's the thing. First of all, he doesn't know anything about Dave, yet he's going to rip him to shreds. Okay? And Dave really didn't do anything to Sam, except ignore him maybe. But but Jesus Christ, I'm so sick of sorries. Apologizing. Apologies don't count after you wrote a book 10 fucking years ago. That's insane. Here's the thing. Yes, Eddie was an alcoholic. And yes, alcoholics have dark times. Everybody has dark times. And look, maybe some of those details in there were a little gruesome. Maybe as a fellow bandmate, you let some of that go. But is this all because, Eddie's no longer here and now he's a saint? I don't get that. That's so strange. But here's the thing. If you're going to go out on tour and charge people that level of money to go see you play, and you go on stage and perform like that, I think people need an explanation. I have to say that book was an explanation as to what the hell was going on. Okay, so from a human being standpoint, you say he was in a bad way, and you feel bad for the guy for sure, but at the same time, it's not like that stuff didn't go on. I mean, he was going on stage and literally exploding. He exposed a lot of behind-the-scenes ugliness, but I feel for Mike and I feel for Sam because they went through hell with Ed, especially Mike, that's for sure. But you really can't turn around and just change everything 10 years later, man. It's come on, man up. What do you think?
I agree. It's too little, too late.
Yeah.
You wrote the book. I mean, you can regret that you wrote certain things, but don't be like, oh, I wouldn't have written anything bad. Sure you would have. You were writing a book, and you wanted to sell the book.
Yep.
And let's face facts, Sam wanted to sell a lot of copies of that book.
Yeah.
Keith Richards had come out with his autobiography, and Sam was like, I want a piece of that. And Sam did not hold back. It wasn't like he said a few things and it was like, I regret that. I mean, he said everything. So when Sam starts talking about stuff like this, I kind of take it with a grain of salt. It's like, all right, it's very nice of you to respect the man's memory now that he's passed away. But don't be like, well, until he passed away, you never said that. So it took him passing away to realize
it doesn't make any sense.
Maybe shouldn't have written that stuff, right? I mean, come on now.
And as far as I'm concerned, Valerie's book is way rougher than Sam's.
I haven't read Val's book since it came out. Yeah. I don't know if it's rougher, but from what I remember, at the least, it's certainly no worse than Sam's in terms of talking about Ed and his darker side.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Now, on the other hand, Sam is out doing a new book. Not a memoir, though. He's doing a cocktail book, Dave, and it's called Sammy Hagar's Cocktail Hits. 85 personal favorites from the Red Rocker. And it's Sammy Hagar with James O. Friolo. So he's
are you just going to say multiple pronunciations?
Yeah. Right. It's a multiple choice. And also Guy Fieri, I think, also wrote in the book. It's 256 pages, coming out March 1st of 2022 on Skyhorse Publishing. And this is going to have Sammy's special recipes on these incredible cocktails. They're going to have chapters like this: Splash of Aloha, Hawaii's coolest cocktails; Mas Tequila, south of the border cocktails; Sinful Signatures, VIP Vegas-inspired cocktails; Tinseltown Twists with Cleveland Pre-Funk, an original mix of Hollywood and Cleveland's best cocktails; and Encore, more of Sammy's personal favorites. So that's all coming out. Listen, it's a follow-up to, I think that book was called Are We Having Any Fun Yet? That cookbook he made. So listen, this is part of his whole, like I said before, rock and roll Jimmy Buffett thing. He's a businessman, man, and I get it. You know, it's part of his brand. And to be honest, I'll give him credit. The cocktail business, this pre-mix cocktail in a can thing has become like a huge craze, and mixology is like the biggest thing. And on top of this, Sammy's got cocktails coming out in cans, and they're called Sammy's Beach Bar Cocktail Company. He's opened up another company, this fucking guy. He's getting into the ready-to-drink, the RTD cocktail category, and he's got all these different flavors: Tangerine Dream, Pineapple Splash, Island Pop, and Cherry Cola Chill. And they're debuting this fall in California, Nevada, and Texas, and there's more states to follow. And Sammy said, based on his new ready-to-drink cocktails, I know I'm a little late getting into the business, but by the time we got everything together, the market is now becoming flooded. And they're going to be sold retail in 4-packs of 12-ounce cans, and the cocktails weigh in about 5.5 alcohol volume, and they're 130 calories a piece. And says, I think we make a better cocktail than anybody in the market. So Sammy's going head first into this whole thing. I guess it's, you know, the cocktails match with the book, and he's getting into the whole mixology thing. And what do you think of all this, Dave? My God.
Well, I think they're both right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, no, of course.
I mean, his foray into ready-made drinks, that's a natural progression of what he's doing. The book doesn't surprise me either. You know, I think he got some guy, the other co-author of the book, to come up with the drinks. Got his buddy Guy to write the foreword of the book. He slaps his name on it, throws in a few drinks of his own, and he's good to go. I mean, the guy is working his brand. You know, he's not sitting down doing nothing all day. I'll give him that. He's definitely very busy, putting out lots of different stuff. So, I mean, good for him. Good for him. Guys, what is he now? Like 73? And he's not sitting still. Amazing.
He's coming up on 74. And let me tell you something. I think you said this on another podcast. This guy is busier now than he's ever been. He is doing more goddamn shows, albums, streams, appearances, interviews, companies. It's unbelievable. And I really think, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he's making money, but I really think he can't sit still. I think he can't have a moment. Like, he's got to have projects and projects and projects and projects. Reminds me of my wife, for Christ's sake. It's like one after another. It's like crazy, like so nuts with so many different things. But wow, he is one busy guy. You can't call him lazy, that's for sure. So we're moving on to Mammoth WVH, Dave. I told you how much I love the album, and let me tell you, I'm so excited because we got a bonus track, and it's called Talk and Walk. And here's a clip.
Talk a little bit, walk a little bit, but now that's over. Talk a little bit, walk a little bit, but lies you own them. Yeah, say just what I need to hear. Every little bit, you'll get away with it.
Now, I know you're all going to think I'm crazy, but I love this song as much as everything else on the album. I think it should be on the album. Make it a clean 15. Holy cow, even the bonus track is fantastic. I love this song. Dave, what do you think of this tune?
I like it too. I don't think it was a throwaway.
No.
At all. It's not like I listened to it and I was like, oh, yeah, I can see why this was the bonus track. I don't think it's crap at all. I think, it's as good as anything on the album. I was pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of Mammoth WVH, they announced some solo dates. So in addition to their entire Guns N' Roses opening slots, they have sliced in 11 extra dates where they're going to be headlining. So they're going to be doing August 7th in Cleveland, Ohio at the House of Blues, August 23rd in Seattle, Washington at the Neptune, August 29th in Tucson, Arizona at the Rialto Theater, September 2nd, Austin, Texas at Emo's, September 4th in Houston, Texas at the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion,